And good morning to everyone out there. From me, Quibus Westhuizen, the privileged and honored Dean of Milpark Business School. It's awesome to have you all here in our virtual auditorium this morning to share a few insights on our postgraduate diploma in business administration and our MBA programs. And with some highlights, I'm just doing the introduction. We have Dr. Jane Usher, who would share a couple of ideas about the program, some detail around it. And then we have our wonderful alumni to share also some of their experiences with you. So day 188 of lockdown in our beautiful country. Although at level 1, there are still quite a lot of restrictions on us, but we've managed thus far. We are resilient, and it's collectively as a nation, and we will together surely also beat this thing. But without any further ado, you are here this morning for a purpose, and my purpose is to introduce, to do the introduction and just share to you on the high level an overview of Milpark Business School, and then Dr. Jane Usher will come in to talk about some of the admission requirements, curriculum, as well as the distance learning online platform, and then our highlight hearing from our alumni. So without any further ado, friends and colleagues, let me get on to that and share with you at a very high level, for those of you who don't know Milpark yet, but we are a private higher education institution that has been established since 1997 with a whole host of accredited programs in our list of offerings, ranging from the certificate level at level 5 of the NQF right through to the doctoral level at NQF level 10. Our main contact campus is in Melville, Johannesburg. Our head office is situated in Claremont in Cape Town, which there is also a campus there, with a smaller administrative type of campus in Westville in Durban. So just a little bit of background on that. But where do we fit into the bigger scheme of things? And I think it's quite important for people considering journey with us and to make us their learning partner is about where we fit in and who owns us, so to speak. So Milpark Education is part of Stadio Holdings, and I invite you to also go after this and look at stadio.co.za, where you'll find a lot of detail about what Stadio is all about. And along with 5 other subsidiaries, we all make up the Stadio group. Now, within there, the Stadio range of subsidiaries, there are, among others, AFDA, which specializes in film school and film qualifications, you know, the creative type of arts, and they go up to a master's qualification. There is Embury, which is the Teachers Education College, going up to the honors level. They have also now starting to changing the name change for them, specifically adopting the Stadio brand. There's Lysoff, there's Southern Business School, that's also situated out on the West Rand, and then of course Milpark Education, and a little bit more about that in a moment. Then the last subsidiary is Prestige Academy, with also a whole range of bachelor's qualifications. So just a snapshot for you to get a sense of where Milpark fits in the greater scheme of things. Let's drill down now to just Milpark Education. So within Milpark Education, there are 5 different schools, and of which the business school is where we are at, and that is where hopefully you will consider journeying in your development and growth path as you go ahead. There's also the School of Commerce, where all our undergrad qualifications are situated, from the certificate level with the high certificates, and then the bachelor's degree, bachelor's in business administration, bachelor's of commerce, and then there's also going on to the accounting finance and accounting qualifications up to the postgraduate degree in accountancy, which is like the honors degree that the accountants do before they pursue the path going to chartered accountant and so forth. There is the Financial Planning and Insurance School of Financial Planning and Insurance that's or fixated or focuses on the financial planning industry, the insurance industry, with a qualification going up to the postgraduate diploma in financial planning. We have this School of Banking and Investment, who also is niched and focused on the needs of the banking sector. Now, which Jane will probably allude to a little bit later, the two postgraduate qualifications in the School of Banking, in the development of the business school, the postgraduate diploma in banking and the postgraduate diploma in investment management will come over to the business school in January of 2021. And then lastly, we have the college, the FET College, which is also situated in Cape Town, and primarily distance learning education is the mode of delivery with all the schools. Then let's now talk just about us as a business school, as Milpark Business School. We've given you now the kind of the macro, the meso, and now let's get into the micro, you know, our address and what is it that we do. So, colleagues, we offer from the doctoral level, as I said. We launched our DBA in January of 2019, which now gives us the entire suite of qualifications as a higher education institution, which also demonstrates our academic maturity. The Master of Business Administration, the MBA, of course, is our crown jewel, and that is where we're going to talk about a lot today as well. The postgraduate diploma in business administration at the NQF level 5, as noted, which is not indicated on this slide, is the other postgraduate qualifications that will come across from next year. There is also currently under development a postgraduate diploma in public administration, which is also set to be launched in 2021. And of course, like any business school worth its salt, we also offer a range of executive education courses, bespoke or tailor-made programs. There are a whole host of on-the-shelf programs, all sitting within the Department of Executive Development. So I mentioned short courses. In a way, just to give a sense of a bit of a separation, there's a whole host of online short courses as well, very popular in the market, covering a host of very topical issues such as design thinking, new venture creation, corporate governance, and so forth. And of course, we as academics, full-time and our adjunct faculty are also quite involved in consulting to industry. So that is kind of the range of offerings that we have as a business school at the moment. If a snapshot or a photograph of what it is that we offer is presented to you today. I think it's very important for people considering making us their learning partner is our ethos. Is what is it that we stand for? What is it that my team and I get up in the morning? So, you know, we exist to empower future leaders to pursue ethical and sustainable business practices, and it's, you know, informed by the Sustainable Development Goals. You are all very aware of the SDGs. There are 17 of them. Perhaps it's a good thing after this session to just go onto Google again, type in SDGs, and have a look again at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals with the aim of achieving them by 2030. Now, already less than 10 years left, and there is a big task ahead, all of us, to take part in achieving these goals. And that is what we've kind of hung our hat on. That is kind of the filter that we look at the world, and which is also informs our teaching, our learning, our research, and our consulting, and so forth. Now, this vision, so to speak, is built on the Greek term of phronesis. Phronesis meaning practical wisdom. And again, that's maybe something that I invite you to really go and have a look at and read more about what is practical wisdom. But for us, it emphasizes not only the development of great leaders, but leaders for the common good. And we've kind of adopted this hashtag as our own, hashtag common good. So developing of great leaders for the common good, and all based on the ethical and sustainable business practices. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, our ethos. And if you can identify with that, we would want you to journey with us and make the world a better place. If you'll allow me, colleagues, just to perhaps share with you a few badges. All of us do things with and get recognition for it. In your offices, in your homes, you've hung your qualification certificates or achievements in sports, trophies, etc. That's kind of an indicator of, this is what I've done and I've poured myself into, and I was recognized by means of a medal or a trophy or a certificate, whether it being in studies, whether it being in sport, whether it being in any other contribution that I make in society and so forth. But the one, I may start at the top left, that we are very proud of is our Amber accreditation, which we attained in 2018. And we are very proud to say that we are the only business school in Africa that have got Amber accreditation for both contact learning and online learning MBA. That is something that we're very proud of. We are also a member of the Association of African Business Schools, where we as a collective, we are just over 50 business schools that make up this association that really drive the agenda for our own continent. And there's also the process now of establishing an accreditation system for the African business schools, and collectively also supporting and assisting other business schools and management educators and bringing them up to a standard that's equal to where we are already, and then of course competitive in global terms. Then SABSA, or the South African Business Schools Association, along with 19 other business schools, we are a member, and we have been a member for more than 12 years. We've also had the opportunity or the privilege to serve on the executive of SABSA. That is where we look at the business school industry, or sector rather, in South Africa specifically, with regards to management education and so forth. Then there is a sister organization called the Business Graduates Association, sister to Amber, of which we are also a member. Now, with Amber, it is the MBA only, but with the Business Graduates Association, also incorporate undergraduate faculties, etc. Then we're a member of the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce, which allows us to really have a strong interface with industry, and having a keen sense of the needs of industry in terms of training and development of what it is that industry requires. For example, what it is that they would look for from an MBA. And that is where something like the PMR Africa, the bottom left of your screen, is something that we're very proud of. In the most recent survey, 2020, Milpark Business School was ranked second overall in South Africa by employers of providers of the MBA in South Africa. So it is evident that our MBA and our MBAs, our students, are making a difference in industry, which attests to the fact that the employers of those companies also, who respond to the survey, indicate and demonstrate. We're a member of the Responsible Research in Business and Management community as well. And then, of course, another important issue is the prime, or the principles of responsible management education. And I invite you to actually go and have a look at all of these various websites if you want more information on them. But Milpark Business School is a signatory to the principles for responsible management education, where we have committed ourselves to 6 principles, and we submit every second year a report to demonstrate the progress that we've made in terms of those commitments. So that's just a bit of a bragging, if I may say, of awards and memberships. That's very important to us and demonstrates our status as a business school as well. Right, colleagues, this is where I am now going to hand over to Dr. Jane Usher, just to now guide you through a little bit more of the detail as far as the programs are concerned. Thank you so much. Jane, handing over to you.
Great. Thank you, Kobus. And morning, everybody. It's quite nice and wet here in Johannesburg, so that's very welcome. And thank you all for giving up your time and spending a bit of time with us to chat about what we have to offer. And I'm going to take you through our admission requirements and give you a short outline in terms of what is required for both a postgraduate diploma in business administration to be admitted there, and then your master's in business administration, how the progression works, and then to cover some of the modules that you will be engaged in and doing. So there are some of the areas that are common to both. Is you need to be able to connect to the internet, so you need reliable broadband internet connection. You need to be, to a certain extent, computer and internet literate, because you do quite a fair amount of research and work online, and you upload most of all your assignments to your virtual learning environment. So you need that. And if you are part and parcel of the distance learning online, you also do a lot of or quite a few live sessions. So you do need to have reliable internet and internet. So for both of the qualifications, you need to be proficient in English. You need to, because both of them are offered in English, and you need to get an acceptable or achieve an acceptable rating in the Milpark assessment that we do for both the qualifications. And I'll explain a little bit more about that now. Specifically for your postgrad, for the PG DIP, as we call it, and we do seem to use too many acronyms, so please excuse me if I slip back into that. It becomes a bit too familiar. But for the postgrad or the PG DIP, you need to have a recognized bachelor's degree or equivalent, and that means it must exit at NQF level 7, because the postgrad is on an NQF level 8, so you articulate into level 8. For your master's, you need to have a recognized honors degree or postgraduate diploma, which would be our postgraduate diploma in business administration, and I'll take you through the articulation there. Then for the MBA, you'll see there are more criteria for admission here. And the reason is, as you're moving up the ladder in terms of your qualification and the what we require from you. So you need to be at least 25 years old or older than that. And the reason we do that is because there's a lot of peer learning, there's a lot of work-based, everything is related back to work. So you need to have worked for a few years in order to be able to apply what you learn straight back into your workplace. And then also, when you are engaging with your fellow students, to give input on your experiences and how things relate to a work and a business environment. You need to have a minimum of 4 years relevant work experience. We will get a CV from you. We've got a Milpark template that is required, and the reason we have a specific template is because our AMBER accreditation when they come and have a look at that, they want all your CVs to be in a standard format. Then we also want you to think about why you are wanting to embark on this arduous journey. So a one-page essay motivating why you want to do the MBA. What is it that you want to get out of that? And that forms part of the whole admission process. And then we have an interview by one of the program managers, depending on your mode that you're looking at. They would then discuss your hopes and dreams, more details in terms of your curriculum, what subjects you should be taking, and how the whole program works. And all of those areas where it's assessment, we call it a test, but it's not a test that you need to be worried about. It looks at what you're good at and what you could improve, and then we can all work from that. All of these elements go into the admission requirements. And now I want to move on to the actual subjects or modules, as we call them, that you would be doing. And you'll see there are 3 different colors here. The red that is on there, sorry, it doesn't mean, I don't mean to alarm, we don't mean to alarm you with that. It's just to highlight certain areas. So we have got on the postgrad diploma, general management environment, and that is also articulates onto the MBA. It's on a level 8, and you would sit in the same class for that. And it gives you a foundation on what is management about, all the functions that you need to know, and to give you a nice foundation to work with. Then we do business ethics and corporate governance. And I'm sure you will agree that in this time that we're in, governance and ethics is an incredibly important part of business and work. And we need to make sure that we are in line and that we are really, it works with the ethical leadership philosophy that we come from. Social responsibility and environmental management, again, very relevant. We need to highlight what should be happening in society, take care of the environment, and you do a project with a charity and a corporate here. So you start working with consulting skills and consulting with different organizations. Then looking back at the postgrad, we have management, accounting, and finance, part 1. Now we've put that in red just to highlight that if you have never worked in financial management before, or you don't have an undergraduate level, so you have no grounding in financial management and accounting, we want to make sure that you are up to speed and that you will manage this module. So we expect you to do then an introduction to financial management course before you embark on the management, accounting, and finance, part 1. And those 4 subjects I've just spoken about, they are common to both the postgrad and the MBA. Then on the postgrad, you move on to design thinking and problem solving. This takes a look at challenges and product development and service development in terms with a humanistic or human point of view. What experiences do you want to make sure you put in place for your clients, your customers, or anybody using your products and services? That's a very interactive and dynamic module that you'll be involved in. Then strategic management, you need to make sure, obviously, it's a business management qualification. And so knowing what strategy is and how to implement is very important. Again, based on case studies and real life applications. Then we've got research methodology, and that gives you an understanding of where to find data. How do you know that it's reliable? If you're getting data from Facebook and Twitter, is it reliable? Would you put it into a report that you're putting together for your CEO or your boss or your exco? So we teach you how to gather data, what a problem is, how to frame the problem. And that is very handy for you going forward because it assists you in those critical skills that you need moving forward. And writing skills. How do you write? How do you make sure you haven't plagiarized? And it's getting that balance between a purely academic report and then what you may need for business writing. Then on the MBA, we've got business report writing, quantitative analysis, and presentation skills. And that is an important module, as it then again grounds you in report writing. How do you write at this level? Stats that you may need for your dissertation, and it's an introduction to this. And many people are scared of stats. However, it's a very useful tool to be able to use, and especially when you're going to be doing research. And presentation skills you will be using throughout your journey, and you probably already having to do presentations for work. And so we start honing those, because your capstone modules, you need to be able to present well and concisely. You'll see we have another research methodology module. It's advanced here. And this is for you to start getting ready for your dissertation. To find a topic that is close to you, that is relevant, that is anchored in a business environment and business challenge that you can solve either for your organization. We encourage you to work within your organization to add value back to them. And also because that is what you're working with each day. So that is the beginning of your dissertation journey within your MBA. Then we look at the next 3 modules, which is people management. You need to be able to understand how HR works and how do we manage people, what are the talent management strategies. We're not expecting you to be HR professionals, but as a general manager or MD or CEO, you need to understand the importance of people management within and talent management within your organization. Operations and technology, again, it's a part and parcel of the functioning of a business, and you need to know how this happens and what ramifications it have if your operations or your technology management, if there are issues there. Marketing and sales management as well, very important. You need to be able to understand strategies for this, and you need to be able to sell. Now, we're not expecting you to be super duper salespeople. However, you need to understand those processes and how they fit together. Then we move on to your second year in the MBA, and that's year 2. And the modules that you've got there, you'll see there's management accounting again sitting there. However, that is, if you just go on to the MBA, you would do that in your second year. If you start with the postgrad, okay, I'll come back to, I see Cornelia's got a question on e-commerce. I'll cover that. So you do this in your second year MBA, and that is one of those modules that if you start with the postgrad, you are exempted from that module if you pass successfully. Then we have leadership and change management, again, an important part of a business, and I'm sure you may be or have realized it's fairly important, especially in this time as well. We've had this pandemic, and what are leaders doing? How are they leading? And this works through personal, interpersonal, and professional leaders, and it's in every facet of an organization. So from where you are, how do you implement certain leadership perspectives, and then right up until, what would your leadership strategies be? Global trade, it's economics, global economics. We take into account your local and global issues and aspects that are coming up and how it would impact you as someone in a business, as a business owner. Then we have our dissertation, and you've got the second year to complete that. Where possible, it is based on the proposal that you've crafted in your advanced research methodology. You are allocated a supervisor. You work closely with your supervisor to get to a product and a report that is relevant, that's practical, and that can solve a business problem. And again, we have a management, accounting, and finance part 2, and that is your corporate finance. It is built on your management and accounting part 1, because you need to know those basics. But these are the decisions that you would be making when you are working within a business. And again, a very important part of the business as a whole. Then the last two, we've got integrated business strategy, which is your capstone module. We have a simulation that we use there, and it's live, real-time decisions that you are making in groups as you would work in a business. But we track your individual input, your leadership aspects. So it takes everything that you've learned into this capstone module, and we see how you are managing there. And again, you have a report to do at the end and a presentation with your group, and this is to a panel of experts. Then we've got 2 electives at the end, and you can either choose business in emerging markets or entrepreneurship and innovation. Entrepreneurship and innovation is very important, as we need to encourage more people to become entrepreneurs and give them the tools as to how do you start from an idea and really get your business going. So that is a very comprehensive module. And again, you do a business plan, you present to the panel, and it's venture capitalists, people who have got their own businesses. It is, and also some academics. So you've got to really have honed your presentation skills by this stage to do a pitch to sell your ideas and how it's going to work. And then business in emerging markets is our international module. And we're focusing at the moment on the BRICS countries. So it's Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And this year we were going to Russia. Unfortunately, we were stopped in our tracks with the tour for this year, but that will happen next year. And we try to rotate the countries on an ongoing basis. It's an immersive experience. So we have some lectures here, and you start getting to understand the culture, the legal frameworks, how their economy works, what products they use, basically doing business in that specific country. And then you have the tour to the country, where you meet with business people, you meet with entrepreneurs, you meet with academics who do master classes and workshops with you. And you have to devise a business plan for your organization, taking into account how you're going to do business in this country to make sure that it's successful. And then you present that in a report format when you return from your very exciting trip that you go on. And we'll chat a little bit more about that with Risa and Portia a little bit later. Cornelia's asked about e-commerce. We don't have a specific e-commerce module. However, it is part and parcel of your global trade. How does that work? Your marketing and sales, those kind of aspects, how would that work there? I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's not a separate module, and that would be part of the business plans that you put together. So if you, in your marketing strategies, and it's you touch on it, but it will be, if that is the route to go with in your decision, then we would expect you to have a full business plan on e-commerce and how you're going to incorporate that into your whole business strategy. Okay, so it's integrated within the modules. It's not a separate thing. But obviously, e-commerce is a very important part of business these days. So it's part and parcel of what you need to be doing. But we can chat a little bit more about that if you would like. Right, I'm going to look at our distance learning online platform. We've been focusing on this for a few years now, and though we do have, we've got contact learning and we've got distance learning online. And some people are a bit nervous of the distance learning online. Just to put it in a nutshell, it's self-directed, as would all adult learning be. You've got a detailed timetable, so you would know exactly what is scheduled when. We've got have a lecturer, 1 per 25 students, and you have regular live sessions that you need to attend, and that is in a way where you interact in what we call synchronous with your lecturer and your fellow students. And that is how the distance learning online works. We have found that it's a very it's growing, and people are managing, they're enjoying this because you can dial in, you can work from wherever you need to work, so you don't need to travel into campus for lectures. Some people still prefer the face-to-face. Obviously this year we've had a bit of a an issue there. However, students are doing their contact sessions online slightly differently, and we will see what happens next year, but we envisage having contact lectures. It will obviously be slightly different to what we've had in the past. For each of these modes, you have a dedicated program manager who will take you through, and they're your contact person. So before we look at anything further, I'd like to ask Risa and Portia a few, we're going to chat a little bit, and they're going to give their insights as to how they manage this. They have both done their postgraduate diploma and the MBA. So they've, in a way, journeyed together. They have, and they graduated together. So they've gone through this long journey, and so I'm going to pose questions to both of you, and basically you can decide who answers what together. But what we want to know from you, and to give advice to people who may be coming onto the program, is so Rita, how did you manage your time? Given you're very busy, you've got a very demanding job. How did you manage your time?
Good morning, Dr. Jane, and thank you very much for having me on the session today. And good morning to all the people that's listening in. So, Dr. Jane, for me, an MBA by nature of the program is a very demanding journey that one kind of embarks on. And with that being said, there's obviously certain sacrifices that one needs to make in order to make this journey successful. For me, it kind of started with my subject choices and how I've kind of planned my journey throughout that experience. So I kind of gave myself 2 to 2.5 years to complete my MBA, and with that, kind of did 2 to 3 modules per semester, which kind of landed in me attending class 2 to 3 times a week. Right. So based on that, I would have kind of one day off during the week, where I'd just kind of relax and kind of just regroup, and then I'd kind of maximize my weekends as much as I could. So I'd put in time over the weekend, so kind of 4 to 6 hours on a Saturday, just get that stuff done, whether it be working on my assignments, reading the articles that's required, and kind of in preparation for the class the next week, just kind of stay up to date with what the program requires of you. And then after that's done, obviously you have to balance your work life and your family time. So I'd use that so the rest of the afternoon to kind of spend time with my family, go for dinners, go to the movies, whatever it may be, and then do the same thing on a Sunday. 4 to 6 hours on a Sunday, just get up to date with what's required, and then spend the rest of the day with the family and just relax and get ready for the week ahead.
Makes sense. Portia, and you? How did you manage that?
Good. I did it slightly differently. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. So I did it slightly differently. For me, the weekends was my time to be on campus because I'm a socialite. So I enjoyed being on campus during the day from morning 8 o'clock till 4:30, Saturdays and Sundays. And I used the time in the week to focus on my assignments. So I would be that person that switches the lights off in the office, because I would be the one that stays behind when everyone goes home, and work on my assignments, because there was the space that I could use to just reflect and work on my assignments. I agree with Riaz that you have to actually take time to select your modules carefully. Know what is it that you are able to cope with. I always say with an MBA, it's for you. It's not for anyone else. You're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with yourself. You want to be better than what you were before you got onto the program. So similar with Riaz, but a lot of time and sacrifices as well.
Definitely, definitely. So with that balancing of that, how did you manage with your families? What did you need to communicate with them? How did they take and either support you or not uh, within your journeys? Portia?
Yes. So for me, because I started with the postgrad with the PG dip, and at the time I didn't know the amount of work and time that it would take away from me and my family. So there was a learning. When I started with the MBA, I actually sat down with my family. I have a daughter. I explained to her at the time she was really young, so she never really understood what I was saying. But I explained to her that Mommy is not going to be available all the time. Some weekends you won't see her because she'll be on campus, etc. And I had to make sacrifices with friends as well to tell them I won't be able to attend baby showers, funerals, social events, etc. You do have to have that conversation with the people that are around you so that they understand that it's not that you don't want to be there. You do have to sacrifice, for you to get through the program.
Yeah, it's a difficult one with that.
Yeah,
Lisa?
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So I agree with Portia in terms of what she did. So I, before kind of embarking on my MBA journey, I had done kind of what we're doing here in terms of chatting to people who had done it previously, just to gain kind of an understanding of what this program and what this journey would demand from me. So based on that information, I then had an open and honest conversation with my family, just to explain to them, look, this is why I'm doing it. This is the kind of sacrifices that will need to happen in order for me to achieve this goal. And because I had so much passion and because I kind of articulated the purpose behind it, they gave me their support. So similar to what Portia's saying, 100% agree in the fact that I'm not going to be there. It's just going to be there a little bit less.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's you need to have that conversation up front and then ongoing.
100%.
Yeah.
Initially, people say, no, no, we'll support you at school. But then when it comes to, like after the first in November, you're doing exams, I never see you anymore. And you need to practice emotional intelligence a lot there, which you learn implicitly through this journey anyway.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And work as well, they no, it's great, you're doing it, it's super. But when you've got an assignment due and or an exam due and you've got a work deadline, it's difficult to
Becomes
navigate.
difficult.
But you do, and you can do that.
Mm.
So talking about work and your studies, how did you or did you find that you were able to apply because that's our goal, is for you to be able to take what you're learning in class and straight away on the Monday or whatever start applying it. How did you do that? Did you find that the assignments helped you with that? Yeah, Risa, how did you find that?
So that's a great question, Dr. Jen, and I love telling this story because the impact that the Milpark MBA had on my kind of life personally and professionally was far more than what I had expected it to do or to have. So if you think about kind of an MBA program, the reason why you're going on this journey is obviously to catapult your career. So with that being said, you can't kind of study hard and get all the qualifications, but let your work life and your work commitments kind of seep through the cracks. So the two kind of need to meet in between. And to your point, use the skills and the tools that you've got or that you acquire within this journey and apply them into the business context. So by doing that, I was fortunate enough to be promoted twice during my MBA journey. And the nice thing is, and again, to your point, so I went in for one of my interviews and we had to do a case study on the benefits a rewards program will have on an insurance business. And I literally took all the learnings that we had got from a situation analysis perspective in terms of our marketing strategy, and I applied that to my presentation. So obviously I got the job, and the feedback that I got from my manager at the time, who had also done her MBA, as well as from the HR representative, was that kind of interview, they'd never seen someone present in that way before. The amount of information that you gather, the amount of kind of data that you unearth, and the value that it adds is very valuable to the business context. Another example that I can give is that throughout your MBA journey, right? So you'll obviously get assignments that you'll need to do for the different modules, and each module will require some kind of business research that you'd have to do. So essentially, you'd kind of look at data, you'd analyze the data, synthesize it, identify themes, formulate your research questions, and then at the end of that, propose a solution or recommendation to the business problem. So in my work context now, I'm constantly looking at kind of industry data, unpacking business problems, and then recommending solutions to it. So because I had done that so much during my MBA, coming into the work context, I automatically had a better advantage than my colleagues, which obviously then gave me better exposure. So
Great.
it really helped. Yeah, it really helped.
Nice. Portia, your views there?
Absolutely, I echo Riza's sentiments. You know, the program just opens up a whole new world that you never knew existed. You know, I think for me, what is most critical is the fact that I'm now able to connect the dots. You know, I can sit in a meeting and sometimes wonder, why is everyone not seeing what I'm seeing? You know, and I'm able to pull certain concepts, different concepts, and pull them together and create one solid story. And I think based on what Riza was saying is that you're able to start with a problem statement, and you know, because you've done so many assignments and so many assignments, you know that you have to start with the problem statement. You have to unpack it. You have to understand what are the issues. You have to pull lots of information, lots of qualitative and quantitative data as well, and come up with recommendations. And it's quite interesting that Riza and I are doing similar work every day, and
Could be losing Portia
it
there.
I get a
Okay.
Yeah,
lot of
sorry that.
people asking. I think,
Portia's still chatting. Okay. Sorry, Portia, we lost you for a bit.
okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Yeah,
now.
we can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Just one final thing. I think one of the things that I've learned in the program, which is not taught, but it's experienced, is learning the different dynamics from a team perspective, because you are forced to work in teams to agree on the final product. And that has helped me to maneuver myself around corporate, you know, to be able to participate in working groups, etc., and be able to pull different people's ideas into one and come up with one single proposal or product.
Yeah. Yeah, and that teamwork is fun and games.
Painful.
But you could do, yeah. I used to do this, like, yeah. And you navigate that, which is really, yeah, again, it's fun, but your leadership skills then come out, and you learn things. So I need to ask you both. You both did the BEMA trip, Business in Emerging Markets trip. Tell us a bit about your experience, what it was like. Don't tell us all the things you did. You know, those trips are, but let us know a little bit, Portia. What did you feel about that trip?
So I must say, for me, the BEMA trip was my first international trip, so it was a big deal for me. I think what was most exciting was going out there into a world that I didn't know. So we did Brazil, and we were in the same trip, with Riza. I think the biggest challenge for us was the language barrier. Um, you know, they speak Portuguese, we speak English, obrigado. It was quite an interesting experience. But I think from a learning experience was just to understand the different cultures, different types of customer preferences. What we think we like here in South Africa is not what the market wants on the other side, right? And also getting to understand the different dynamics in terms of governance, etc. I mean, you spoke about it when you introduced the module, Dr. Jane. You have to understand what industry you want to take into that country, because that was the assignment we had to do. You had to understand the cultures, preferences, the legal framework, etc. And I think what was most exciting was that every day we would actually go out and meet a team, an entrepreneur, a corporate, and ask them questions. And I think one of the things that I got out of it was that I could take some of the learnings from those the trip and take it back to my company, to say, this is what I learned, this is what other countries are doing, this is what I think we should start
Mhm.
considering to do as well. But lots of fun, I must say.
Yeah, it's a good one. Riza, your experience?
So 100% agree with what Portia is saying. So kind of if you kind of take it back to the purpose of the module, right? So you alluded to it earlier on, Dr. Jane, in that the Beamer trip is kind of created to give people exposure in terms of what it takes to establish a business in other BRICS countries or in other developing markets. So with kind of that as your background, the purpose of the module is then to determine what it would take to take your business or your organization that you're currently in and establish a presence in a different market. So the nice thing about that is that it has an element of entrepreneurship as well, because essentially you're starting a new business in a different country. So these kind of elements of your business model canvas, these entrepreneurial tools that one uses to establish a new business, you'd apply the same kind of principles. The nice thing also is that it gives you exposure to different things that you wouldn't necessarily encounter in your day-to-day lives, such as kind of the ease of doing business in a particular country. Portia alluded to it earlier on, the Portuguese language and the language barrier between South Africans versus Brazil would obviously become a constraint and something that you'll need to solve for if you do take your business overseas. A lot of organizations within the South African context right now are obviously looking to expand their market, and in so doing, taking their business into different countries. So the principles would remain the same. However, obviously the country would differ, right? So you'd use the same kind of tools and learnings that you've got from the trip, but just apply it to a different country, which is
Yeah.
really good and was really helpful.
And it's fun, hey? It's a fun
100%,
yes.
100%. It
I
really
asked
was.
if Portia behaved herself because
She's for me to
I
secrecy.
did.
So
it's funny. So in a nutshell, so just in summing up, Rita, what advice would you give to students who are going to embark on this journey?
so and I think we've spoken about it in length. I think this is it's a very demanding step that you're going to take. I think have that open and honest conversation with your family, just to kind of gear them up to what to expect during your time. I think that it is very important. And I think you alluded to it earlier on as well in terms of your dissertation. Make sure that you kind of choose your topic that's relevant to your work context, the benefits that it brings you, and the amount of exposure that it gives you in terms of kind of meeting with people who you wouldn't necessarily have interactions with during your normal working day, like your exco, your CEOs, etc. So it allows you the opportunity to kind of rub shoulders with them, unearth this valuable information, and then essentially solve a major business problem, and then it kind of catapult your career from there. So I would definitely kind of recommend people to be passionate about the experience, try and make it as relatable to your current work context as much as possible, and do whatever is required in order to get the most value out of it. It really does help in the long term. It really does help kind of immediately as well. Just believe in the process, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. And Portia, your advice.
My advice, the first one, I mentioned it earlier, you are not competing with anyone else but yourself. Always remember that. And I think the next one is what I would say is use your network. There's going to be times when you look at an assignment and you don't know where to start. It's a finance assignment. You reach out to your CFO and you say, I don't know where to start. What does this mean? And I think one of the things that really worked for me as well was that you create networks within your MBA cohort as well. You're able to discuss assignments, not necessarily helping each other, but clarifying for each other. What does this mean? What is the expectation, etc. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to your lecturer, as daunting as it may be to be asking what does this mean when he did actually explain it to you. But go out there and ask if you don't understand. Reach out to people. I think one of the things that I have learned throughout the program is what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and I'm able to, when I know that I'm at a module or a certain topic, I don't have enough knowledge about it, I'm able to reach out to other people. But at the same time, where I'm knowledgeable or I'm an expert in a certain field, I'm able to help others as well. I think that's critical. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. And that's very, very important. Both of you, thank you so much for the advice and the insights that you've given us. We'll be in touch for sure. And I'm going to hand over to Kobus to finish up. And both of you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Jane. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kobus.
All right, we're back. Colleagues, thank you so much to Dr. Jane Usher, our head of the Department of Postgraduate Studies and the MBA Director, along with Riza and Portia. Thank you for that very informative insights that you've shared with us. Jane started off with detail on the program, and often, you see these things listed and the requirements, and this is the program. But what does it do to you? And that is where Riza and Portia's shared their lived experiences, which is extremely valuable and a great takeaway. So thank you so much again for your contribution. We really appreciate it. I would just like to sign off with a note that life is all about choices. So those of you in our virtual auditorium considering further studies and now also evaluating, looking at different providers to decide who will be your learning partner in the next season of your life. I'm thinking of, as you see on the screen, John Maxwell's words of life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. And then I'm adding on to that, or breaks you. So we all face choices every day. We wish you the best with making your choice in regards to this. But let me close off. Why must you consider us? I believe, and we believe. Again, just remembering that we are the only AMBER accredited MBA for both contact and online delivery on our wonderful continent. Our PMR rating of 2020 being the rated second overall in South Africa by employers. We argue a strong case that we have a curriculum that's contemporary and relevant. If I also think of Cornelia's question there on e-commerce. So it is very important for us to stay up to date with the developments. And as we currently know, management and leadership practice, the theories that we've had up to now is coming under question as we journey into this new world, or this new normal that people refer to so often. Therefore, the experienced facilitators from industry is so important. People that's in industry, in some way that they can bring their experiences into the classroom, but facilitating, and the students themselves bringing their experiences, and we collectively co-create in what we refer to as social constructivism, we together create new solutions. And that is what makes a journey like this so wonderful and spectacular. And then we also endeavor to create the learning environment that promotes real growth producing experiences. And we believe that you have to impact all three modes of learning. It's not just a question of stuffing your head with knowledge, but we also have to involve the heart and the hands. So by hands, we don't mean that you actually pick up a shovel, but by hands, it is actually immersing yourself into the context as close as possible to real life, and in certain of the modules in real life, such as the social responsibility and environmental management module, such as the integrated business strategy module, such as the business or the business ethics and corporate governance module, etc. And then we believe, my team and I, that students, our students, are the reason for us being around. It's not the other way around. It's because of the students that we are here. And therefore, the students are the focus in our teaching and learning transaction. So that is kind of what I would like to share with you as a takeaway. And remember that we spoke about choices. And it's important that we also have a positive message in this world where we are so often flooded with negative messages. And that is what we believe is tomorrow is beautiful, because you and I will make tomorrow beautiful. So thank you so much for your attendance. We appreciate it. Please reach out to us if there's any further questions, if we've missed something on the chat bar. But thank you so much. Wish you all the best in your decision making, and it would be really an honor if you make the decision to make us your learning partner in the next season of your growth journey. Thank you. Appreciate your time.